Right now as you watch this, someone is plotting your destruction. Not because you hurt them, not because you wronged them, but because you committed the one unforgivable sin in their eyes. You refuse to stay weak like them. The friends who supported your dreams now sabotage your reality. This is human sickness, and if you don't understand what's happening to you right now, they will destroy you before you even realize you're under attack. The family who worried about your failures now attack your success. You believed that deep down, humans celebrate each other's victories. Weak people don't want to become strong. They want to live in a world where strength is impossible. They don't dream of success, they fantasize about a reality where success is evil. They don't aspire to greatness, they conspire to make greatness a crime. This belief isn't just wrong, it's the psychological blindness that gets strong people killed by weak ones. The people who said, "You can do it," when you couldn't, now whisper, "Who do you think you are when you can?" Every successful person discovers this brutal truth. The moment you start winning, everyone becomes your enemy. This isn't human nature. You thought people wanted you to succeed. Friedrich Nietzsche discovered the most terrifying truth about human psychology. Your strength doesn't inspire them. It tortures them. Your success doesn't motivate them. It threatens their entire reason for existing. Your growth doesn't encourage them. It forces them to confront the weakness they've spent their entire lives justifying. What you're experiencing isn't jealousy. It's warfare. What you're facing isn't criticism. It's coordinated psychological terrorism. What you're enduring isn't opposition. It's the systematic attempt to murder your soul before it becomes too powerful to kill. This video will reveal why weak people don't just envy strong people. They need to destroy them to psychologically survive. Why your very existence is their greatest threat. Why they will never stop attacking you until you either join them in weakness or transcend them completely. Every strong person eventually discovers this horrifying truth. Most people are psychological parasites who cannot generate their own power, their own meaning, their own worth. They can only experience these things by stealing them from others or by destroying them in others. When you develop discipline while they remain chaotic, you're not just changing yourself, you're proving that their chaos is a choice, not a circumstance. When you build wealth while they stay broke, you're not just improving your life, you're exposing their poverty as self-imposed, not inevitable. When you strengthen your mind while they remain weak, you're not just growing, you're revealing their mental weakness as voluntary, not victimizing. Your mere existence becomes a mirror that shows them exactly what they could become if they stopped making excuses. And that mirror is so unbearable, so threatening to their carefully constructed narrative about why they can't change, that they must destroy it or face the annihilation of their entire identity. This is why they attack you with such venom. You're not just their competitor, you're their existential threat. Your success doesn't just make them jealous, it makes them question every excuse they've ever made for their failures. Your strength doesn't just intimidate them, it forces them to confront the weakness they've spent their entire lives justifying. The psychological parasite cannot coexist with authentic strength because strength exposes parasitism. They cannot tolerate genuine success because success reveals their failures as choices, not circumstances. They cannot endure real power because power demonstrates that their powerlessness is self-imposed, not inevitable. But here's what makes it truly sinister. They've convinced themselves they're the heroes. They believe they're protecting society from dangerous individuals when they're actually protecting themselves from the mirror of their own abandoned potential. They think they're fighting injustice when they're actually fighting against the possibility of human transcendence.
If you're feeling that shift in perspective happening right now, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support.
But there's something infinitely more sinister operating beneath these individual attacks. What Nietzsche called the herd immune system, the unconscious biological programming that causes weak people to coordinate like antibodies attacking a virus whenever someone threatens the collective comfort of mediocrity. You've witnessed this biological imperative in action. The moment someone achieves something extraordinary, the masses don't celebrate. They immediately begin searching for ways to discredit it. They don't admire excellence, They hunt it down like white blood cells attacking an infection. They don't respect greatness. They create entire social movements designed to redefine it as oppression. This isn't conscious conspiracy. It's biological survival. The herd operates like a living organism, and strong individuals represent a threat to its existence. Your strength doesn't just challenge individual weak people. It threatens the entire ecosystem that keeps the masses comfortable in their collective weakness. The herd immune system activates through what Nietzsche called moral terrorism, the weaponization of shame, guilt, and social pressure to force strong individuals back into the collective prison of mediocrity. They don't argue with your results. They attack your character. They don't debate your methods. They question your soul. They don't challenge your ideas. They attempt to murder your reputation. Watch how they operate. They use words like toxic, problematic, privilege, unfair. Not because these words have meaning, but because they've been engineered to trigger guilt in strong people. They don't want to debate your success. They want to make you ashamed of it. They don't want to understand your strength. They want to convince you it's actually weakness. This is why every truly powerful person eventually finds themselves standing alone, surrounded by those who once claimed to support them, but now whisper about their changes, their arrogance, their selfishness. The herd cannot tolerate the individual who proves that herd membership is optional, that greatness is possible, that their limitations are self-imposed. You think you understand evil, but you haven't encountered its most sophisticated form, resentment, the psychological cancer that transforms ordinary people into destroyers of greatness, that turns human beings into living weapons against excellence itself. Resentment is not jealousy, it's not envy, it's not competition, it's something far more twisted, the systematic hatred of excellence itself, the psychological virus that makes weak people find meaning not in building themselves up but in tearing others down, that gives them purpose not through creation but through destruction. The person infected with resentment doesn't want to become strong. They want to live in a world where strength is impossible. They don't want to succeed. They want to create a reality where success is redefined as evil. They don't want to improve. They want to drag everyone down to their level and call it equality. This is why they attack you with such coordinated venom, such persistent hatred, such systematic cruelty. You're not just their competitor, you're their philosophical enemy. Your very existence is proof that their worldview is built on lies, that their limitations are self-imposed, that their weakness is a choice disguised as victimhood. The resentment-infected person will spend more energy trying to destroy your strength than they ever spent trying to build their own. They'll invest more time in tearing you down than they ever invested in building themselves up. They'll show more passion in attacking your success than they ever showed in pursuing their own dreams. And here's the most disturbing part. They'll convince themselves they're doing God's work. They'll believe they're fighting injustice when they're actually fighting against the possibility of human greatness. They'll think they're protecting others when they're actually protecting themselves from the unbearable truth that they could transcend their limitations if they had the courage to try. Watch their language. They don't say, "I'm jealous of your success." They say, "Success doesn't matter." They don't admit, "I'm threatened by your strength." They claim strength is toxic. They don't confess, "I'm afraid of your growth." They declare, "Growth is selfish." This is the resentment virus, the psychological pandemic that turns weak people into antibodies against strength, that makes them find meaning in destruction rather than creation, that gives them purpose through the systematic murder of excellence. It's not enough to understand why weak people attack strong people. You must develop complete immunity to their psychological warfare, or they will eventually succeed in dragging you back down to their level. Because the most dangerous moment in any strong person's journey is when they start listening to the voices of those who never had the courage to begin the journey themselves. When you understand that their attacks are confessions of their own weakness, their own fear, their own inability to change, everything shifts. Their criticism becomes evidence of your progress. Their anger becomes proof of your strength. Their desperate attempts to tear you down become confirmation that you're rising above them. Nietzsche called this developing amor fati, love of fate. including the fate of being targeted by those who fear your greatness. You don't just accept the attacks. You recognize them as the inevitable consequence of refusing to remain weak. You don't just endure the hatred. You understand it as the price of admission to a life of power. The moment you stop seeking validation from weak people, you become immune to their attacks. The moment you stop trying to convince them that your strength is justified, you become invulnerable to their psychological warfare. The moment you accept that they will always hate what they cannot become, you free yourself from the need to defend your greatness. This is the ultimate transcendence, not fighting their attacks, but recognizing them as the natural response of weakness to strength. Not defending your success, but understanding that their need to attack it proves its reality. Not trying to convince them you're right, but knowing that their hatred is confirmation that you are. Here's your immunity protocol. Every attack becomes proof of your power. Every criticism becomes evidence of your growth. Every attempt to tear you down becomes confirmation that you're rising above them. Their hatred becomes your compass. It shows you you're going in the right direction. The journey from weakness to strength is not just about building yourself, it's about accepting that you will become a target for those who refuse to make the same journey. This isn't injustice, it's biology. This isn't cruelty, it's the immune system of mediocrity trying to destroy the virus of greatness. Every powerful person who has ever lived has faced this same pattern. The moment they transcended the limitations others accepted as permanent, they became the enemy of those who chose to remain limited. Your strength doesn't just change you, it threatens everyone who uses weakness as an identity. Remember, they don't attack you because you're wrong. They attack you because you're proof that they could be right if they had the courage to try. They don't hate your success. They hate what your success reveals about their failures. They don't fear your strength, they fear the weakness it exposes in themselves. Now I need you to make a choice that will determine the rest of your life. Will you shrink back to avoid their attacks, or will you recognize those attacks as the inevitable consequence of refusing to live as they do? Will you seek the approval of those who never had the courage to grow, or will you accept that growth means growing beyond the need for their approval? Write in the comments, I choose strength over weakness. Let's see how many are ready to accept the price of greatness. The weak will always attack the strong. The question is, are you strong enough to let them destroy themselves against your strength?